Welcome everyone to the Level Up Your Career series. Today our guest is Dr. Scott Dell, and he goes by Dr. Scott. And so the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what was the genesis of the Dr. Scott as opposed to like Dr. Dell or, something like that?
Thank you, April. Excited to be here. And the root of Dr. Scott, we're all into personal branding, right? And I want to be more approachable. Just got my doctorate 3 years ago. And I wasn't the oldest guy to graduate in my program. But the opportunity is getting the name out and being accessible. And so that part of branding, we're all into branding these days.
Yeah,
personal brand. Just
absolutely. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk a lot about LinkedIn and kind of take you through the genesis of how it used to be used versus how it's used now and how you can use it. But first, I want Dr. Scott to tell us about him and why he's an authority in this area, and why you get to listen to what we're going to talk about today.
And that's a great question. Why the heck this guy?
Yeah.
Well, I did write the book on LinkedIn, Your Complete Guide to Succeeding with LinkedIn. So I have some roots on the LinkedIn side.
Love it.
Also, I've been entrepreneurial. I've done thousands of interviews and resume reviews. So heavy in the career space, and also a certified professional coach, a CPC, whatever that does. Also an MBA, CPA, and a whole bunch of other letters to go with all that good stuff. The whole point being is that I do have business experience, love to share it, love the classroom. I've only been a full-time academic teaching in the classroom 15 years now. And I'll let you know that for over 10 years of that, 5% of my grade has been LinkedIn in every class I've taught, whether it's Model UN, leadership, accounting, management. So the tool of LinkedIn is so powerful, so graceful, and so needed.
Interesting. So I want to start right there. In your classroom, 5% of the grade is LinkedIn. And so tell me why, and tell me what you've seen for those who really take that and do it well.
LinkedIn has really evolved. It used to be a resume on screen. Powerful tool. It's great for folks that are collection agencies, as well as people looking for jobs. But the point is, you have your full disclosure of background information. The tone has changed. It's evolved from me, to, wait a minute, what's in it for you, the reader? If you're looking for a job, okay, so it's not the person that's going to hire you. What are you bringing to the table that you offer them that's going to make their job easier? If you're entrepreneurial in business, we're trying to expand the network. What are you bringing to the table that's going to help others succeed? So that's part of the evolution. It's become a supreme business tool, and it's still a great place for operationally finding jobs, making connections, and growing. Part of that is the networking. As you've heard, between 70 to 80+% of jobs are found through networking. And there's the old Chinese proverb, best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, second best time is now. Well, the best time to network was 5 years ago. The second best time is now. And as a networking tool, LinkedIn is the ultimate.
And so is that how you teach your students to use it? Is that the why behind why it makes up that, that 5% of their grade?
I love that question, because I always try to start with the why, the Simon Sinek why. And that's what I use in my first class. We do a why, then we do a 5 whys exercise. Why this, and then because why, and just it evolves. Well, the same thing in LinkedIn. Why use it? It is a tool to help find, and I'm heavy in the 18 to 28-year-old career space. The heavy dose is finding internships, and I always encourage 2 for my students, and finding jobs. Over half the folks that get internships are going to get hired at that company on that job as a national average, not just a local one-off type school. So when I teach LinkedIn in the classroom, I start by the element of the opportunity to network, then build it to the opportunity to research, to find your employers. It used to be, you got 200, 300 job apps out in an hour, and you can do that pretty easily right now, right? That's not the way to find a job these days. the key is the focus. You're actually selecting companies first and then applying and saying, well, maybe they have openings, maybe they don't. But going in and saying, okay, I'm on Monster, I'm in Glassdoor, I'm finding all these job opportunities, your odds are stacked against you. You put a job app in one of those, less than 1% of people that do that might get an interview. And out of that, if you get 4 interviews for a job, 1 in 4, what are your odds? Real limited. But if you're able to get a foot in the door, use a tool like LinkedIn to network, to find people, do what are called informational interviews, have chats, not asking for a job, not saying, here's my resume, could you review it? But what do you do? What is it like at the company? What's the corporate culture? What's the environment? Who are some of the key folks that might be worth chatting? And then you find out that these people also get a commission when they recommend somebody. So if they like you, they'll say, hey, by the way, I was speaking to this person, she or he was great. You want to take a look. As an example, I talk about informational interviews. One of my students actually listened to me. Actually, a couple of people listened to me. I said, what you want to do, go to the alumni feature in LinkedIn. Find alums from your school. Find the majors they were in that you pertain to what you were doing and saying, and find some interesting folks. It's a real powerful tool. You get their picture, you get their bio, you get all kinds of things on LinkedIn. You do the outreach, you call them up and say, hi, or you invite them to connect and you say, I'd like a 15-minute conversation about your career. People like to talk about themselves. You like to talk about yourself. I like to talk about myself, right?
Absolutely.
That's natural. The whole point being that you reach out saying, I'd like to find out how you got to where you are. I'm a psychology major, I'm an accounting major, and I see you're now a manager of XYZ. Pretty cool career path. I'd like to find out more how you got there. You talk to them for 15 minutes, you get some insights, and then you can determine, is that a company you might want to pursue? Well, one of my students told me the story not too long ago. I did exactly what you said, Dr. Scott. It happened. We talked for 15 minutes, and then we talked for another 45 minutes. So there's your hour interview on a 15-minute call. And then he said, we've got 2 internships that we haven't announced yet. You'd be perfect for one of them. Right. So is that a success story? Is that powerful?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. And so LinkedIn then, I love how you said it used to be an on-screen resume. Absolutely. When I remember when I started using LinkedIn and I was, new to recruiting generally. So I actually learned to recruit the old school way prior to LinkedIn. But when it was first catching steam, that's exactly what it was. It was just a database for me to be able to go in and just literally see people's job experience on screen. That's exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. And now I see people using it for, it's so much more interesting, but you got it, you nailed it when you said it's about you. What do I provide for you? And so what if I'm in a job and I'm happy with the job and I know that I would like to level up, but LinkedIn doesn't seem like the right tool for me. Is that a miss? Is that a myth, or can it still be useful for me in that situation?
I would say the right tool for the right job, but LinkedIn can still be a valuable resource and database for that leveling up.
Okay.
How can I use LinkedIn to level up that way? Well, first of all, you're happy. The job's great, the manager's great, you see a path, they're supporting you, you want to stick around. Perfect. Well, your manager can change. Now, everything about it says, this job is not what I want, these people are not what I want, this environment's not what I want. Well, have you been networking for the previous years when you were happy and doing outreach? You want to level up in the job. Well, how do you level up? Well, you get involved in volunteers activities. You get involved in professional associations. You're networking. You will level up your own company by presenting your company. You're the face forward if you get actively involved in some of these organizations. Well, how do you do that? Well, you find them on LinkedIn. You connect to people that are in the profession. Now you're more valuable to your own company because you've got a network of folks in the industry that if you've got a question, hey, we're doing this new project, we're trying something that we thought nobody else had done, but wait a minute, you guys have done this, let's talk about it. have some colleagues that you can compare notes with and bring those insights back into your own company. So the networking element is key, but also the opportunity to grow across the board and learn. And then you start saying, wait a minute, I'm going out for dinner with my manager and they're inviting me with 3 other staff members or of the C-suite or the management team. I don't know anything about these other 3 folks. Guess who's doing some research on LinkedIn? Oh, they went to Ohio State, the Ohio State, I'm sorry. They're familiar with Brigham Young. They went to Wharton, right? Oh, I went to Wharton. I got a classmate. I got a friend. Now you've got a common bond and a common territory, which is what you should do before any interview anyways. You should actually research. Oh, can I get a listing of the people I'm going to be talking to? Oh, you got these 4 folks. Great. Do a little digging. So when you meet them, you'll know a little bit more about them and what not to say. So don't make any bad Boston College jokes compared to the Boston University jokes.
I love that's huge. What you just said right there is another powerful way. So again, employ your network, even as you would say, maybe especially during those times where you are satisfied, everything's going well at your job. And second, it's not just a tool for job seekers or even if I'm looking for a promotion within my own company, that it can be a powerful tool for leveraging your networking by understanding who it is that's in the circle that you're going to be having dinner with, or who it is that's in that boardroom, or who it is that, in any situation.
And we discussed branding a little bit earlier, personal branding. So what more ways than being part of, say, a LinkedIn group, of making posts, or at a minimum commenting on other people's posts to build that rapport, that relationship, that credibility in your field? Because I guarantee you, your managers will see your posts if they connected to you. And you do want to connect. Maybe in Facebook, you don't want to connect to your fellow staffers, but on LinkedIn, they're going to be connected to your subordinates and your superiors and at all levels. And they're going to say, who is this Dr. Scott guy? What's this April talking about? She's got some good ideas. They're going to go in and say, you know what? I'm looking for somebody. I'm in a different department. I'm in a different area. But those insights that are coming out of the mouths of Babe is coming through and saying, you know what? They think some cool things. That's somebody that I could actually take advantage of in my team. And I think they'd be a good contribution, and we can help them grow too.
Yes.
So it's always a two-way street.
I love, my wheels are turning right now. My wheels are turning. That's a great point. So whatever it is that you are learning, or whatever insights you're receiving on your job, to just begin to post those, and you're going to start to get noticed that way in ways. It's like in our finite minds, and we might think we're looking for something, but through being active on LinkedIn, you're providing and opening doors that you don't even know you're opening.
People will start following you that you've never heard of, possibly in countries that you may not have heard of, but in environments that say, wait a minute, you are an authority, a professional. That's kind of cool. And that's some good ideas. And then start your own LinkedIn group. Have the opportunity. Now, LinkedIn groups get a bad rap on LinkedIn overall, but the understanding is they're going to be putting some more emphasis on that. And I find them to be a powerful environment, powerful tool.
Right.
General posts.
And we're using one here as part of this series. And so that's a great, like, to your point, when you get on this in the LinkedIn group provided as part of this series, you're networking with all sorts of people that you might not know what opportunities they have, what opportunities they're aware of. And that's a powerful tool. Being united in the desire to level up that's a powerful, a powerful intention right there.
Big time. It's really an opportunity to grow and help others grow. And the whole thing about networking is give before you get. So the more you give, it's a reflection. It comes back at you.
How do I do that? What if I don't think I have anything to give in this context of LinkedIn networking?
Well, unless you're locked up in a room in a back area and you really don't have anything to offer, you still have something to offer. All of us, what are your own goals? Okay, begin with the end in mind. I'm a big habit, 7 habits of highly effective people. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. So what's your end game? Where are you headed? What do you want to do? If you're happy what you're doing, don't do anything, okay? Although you really should, because you can't always stay happy and think and feel like constant change.
Right.
But let's say I've got a goal in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Here's where I want to be. I want to pick up some more skills in data analytics. Oh, this LinkedIn learning stuff. They actually have free courses, even if you're not a member, paid member, a premium member. They have some freebies that you have. And then these MOOCs, these massive open online courses, are free courses too. You can actually do all kinds of studies. You pay a little extra money, $100, you get a certificate. It shows up on your LinkedIn profile. So you show up in searches when somebody says, oh, who has some SQL skills? Or maybe some Visual Basic. Or I'm looking and saying, oh, there's some cool tools out there that, Microsoft Power BI. You start putting those on your LinkedIn profile, you start getting found. Or you take a class and you learn something in class, but you share that. You can share other people's articles. You don't have to be brilliant.
Right.
If you share a Tom Peters article on management, you are brilliant, because Tom Peters was brilliant, right? So, or Dale Carnegie, no longer with us, may he rest in peace. You start talk about positive mental attitude, running friends, whatever it is, you can, whatever you extract from your readings, from your interactions, from your experiences. There's a whole trend now towards storytelling. Story sell.
So
when I tell you about my student, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, so you are contributing just simply by sharing as you go, that you are in contribution and you are sharing. You don't have to have something like a job to give to someone or something that we might think of as more tangible. You're sharing just by being you.
Right. As you share insights, and some people are saying, oh, I read this book 6 years ago. Great reminder, thank you. Okay, because the point you draw out of that, I can apply now, and it hit me. Life is timing, and maybe it's time to either reread the book or just pick up the point you brought out and said, wow, how can I apply that today? Or on your own post, how am I applying that now? So you want to be able to bring that to the forefront, share, and again, you give before you get.
That makes sense. Just so you know, we have carpet cleaners here today, so I'm muting and unmuting so that you don't hear all that background noise. It's real life, folks. It's real life.
See, life is like that. Life gets to me. My beep beep on my phone. I just had to turn it off because that's my message, text message. It says, "Yep." And so if you heard some beep beeps in the background,
there you go.
Wile E. Coyote is not nearby.
So what do you say then to someone who is saying like, well, LinkedIn's turning into, all this posting is too much like other platforms, or, what would you say to kind of the naysayers of the evolution of where LinkedIn is going?
So I differentiate Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional social network. Now, frankly, I agree with what you just said. A lot of telling personal stories and, the anniversaries and what I had for dinner. And frankly, I disregard it. I panic. I don't even look at those things because I'm there professionally. Now, sometimes there are personal things, but when people get promoted, I congratulate them. That's cool, especially if they're in the fields that I'm in. I'm saying, hey, every time you congratulate someone, name recognition. We know marketing. 6 to 12 exposures before anybody you register on or you're at all visible. So you want to be on their dashboard, you got to get that multiple exposures. So those postings, those comments, even just comment. You don't have to be brilliant, but you can say a valid point. I saw X, Y, Z. You don't say good post, good post, good post. That's pretty worthless. But if you go in there and even likes, about likes, now they have a smiley face that LinkedIn added, so you can, humorous. But you can actually go in there. I like the insightful tool. That's my drug of choice when I'm actually posting comments. I say insightful, and then I'll make a comment that I hope is insightful, or at least contributes or thanks the poster of what they did, even if it's just a poll. So the tools, I put polls out there to find information. One of the most useless polls is, what kind of eggs do you like for breakfast? I went ahead and commented, how is this helping my colleagues my clients, job seekers, professionals. And then I realized I was feeding into it. I actually responded. So now they get more exposure to my network because I responded. So I had to remember that and step back. But I was frustrated. You know, what's the obvious question? On a Sunday morning, they post, do you work on Sundays? This is a Sunday morning post. Who's going to respond, right? You're there. So a lot of it has evolved and has gotten more personal. Some people are getting more stories out of it, but there's still abundance of professionalism to get out of it. So the 1 or 2% that are making it where I don't really want to participate, there's 98+% that I do. So skip the 2% and be done.
Right. That's a great point. So if we want to, we basically make LinkedIn what we want to see. And
Right.
So you post what you want to see and you respond to what you want to see more of. And then it's just like the algorithms on social, you'll see more of what you're responding to.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I love kind of going back to, you know, that being in contribution. One of my, I mean, and I still say this to myself, you know, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to contribute. You know, what would you say to someone in that mindset?
Do some research on imposter syndrome. Okay, because we've all been there. And there's some time to say, do I really know what I'm talking about? Or should I be, fake it till you make it? Not really. You do know what you're talking about. April, you're the best authority on April. Even though others might have some insights and see things that you don't, you probably see more about yourself than anybody else does, and you understand yourself more than anybody else. So if you can understand yourself, you can understand others. You can love yourself, you can love others. I mean, there's that path to go. But you've got insights, skills, abilities, obviously, because you were hired to do what you do. You're pursuing your passions. It's home, work, family, spiritual, all the whole balancing thing. You have skills and talents. It's your choice whether to share them or not, but it is a confidence thing. And a lot of folks don't have that confidence. They're going to find me out. They're going to discover I really don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I really don't know how to do whatever I thought I was supposed to be doing. But the reality is, A, you probably know more than you think, and B, you do have something to contribute.
Yeah.
So make that difference.
That's
you can make a difference in somebody else's life.
Absolutely. That's a mindset shift. I like to think about how many times I've said something and a friend has gone, oh, I never thought about it that way before. And so it's like taking that mindset, putting it onto this virtual platform and knowing that it might not affect everybody, but it might affect somebody or two somebodies.
How many does it take to make a difference? There we go.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So we had talked about a couple of things that you are going to be offering our audience. So will you tell us about your very generous offers here?
Happy to. You can change the world in 2 minutes. I'm going to try to help change it. I'm not that good. Imposter syndrome here, right? Maybe 15 minutes. So for anybody that wants a 15-minute chat, you have my Calendly link available to you. Please reach out. Let's talk. What I love about teaching is I learn a lot when I teach. I enjoy the classroom. I enjoy my students. I enjoy the people. Being able to have these chats, and when we had our initial conversation, I learned a lot from you too. So thank you for sharing your insights, because you've got a heck of a background and a heck of a lot of knowledge. So in that sense, I'm a sounding board. I'm here to help. 15 minutes can or cannot make a difference. I invite to connect on LinkedIn, LinkedIn/Dr. Scott CPA. That's my tag. You'll have that as well as a link. Additionally, my focus in the career space, we have something called Future Forward Academy. It really is individualistic. It's training. It's focused on 18 to 28-year-olds, but that covers a wide swath. Happy to talk to anybody, because like I say, I learn when I speak, and hopefully others learn from me when they speak, as we speak together. So we're in this together, 15 minutes of fame.
I love it. That's super generous. Like you said, it's just a sounding board can be one of the most valuable things you ever have. and someone from, from your perspective who has, seen the gamut, who understands some of the common issues people face and can hold you high. So a sounding board who will support you in leveling up.
If it's a matter of, well, I want to talk about my resume, I want to talk about my LinkedIn profile, I got an interview question that's really baffling. Those are the things that, behavioral interviews are very popular. The situation you're in, attitude, things that you think about. So, and any comments, any conversation that can help you succeed, we're all in this together.
Love it. So, Dr. Scott, is there anything else that we failed to mention here that you see a lot of that you think would be important for our viewers to know and understand?
The Nike tagline is overwrought, overused, but just do it. Have that confidence. Sometimes we all lack confidence taking that step. But once you take the step, you say, oh, I know how to walk. Okay. You can accomplish, you can succeed, you can grow. It is a matter of lifelong learning. Higher ed's getting a bum rap these days. But higher rep, you talk about what are called soft skills. And I don't like the term soft skills, I call them success skills. The success skills you need are communication, written, oral, and your personal brand goes with that. The success skills you need are emotional intelligence. Let me talk about the 4 Qs and then we'll get to sign off. So we have IQ, we know
Perfect.
what IQ is, intelligence. We've got emotional quotient, EQ, which is that emotional intelligence, which is crucial to success. Being part of a team, volunteering, getting involved with other folks. Even, I'm a big fan of Toastmasters, toastmasters.org, powerful place to get an understanding of communication. The AQ is your adversity quotient. If you get knocked down, how fast do you pick up? How do you get up back on your feet? Some people would be knocked down and they're depressed for a month, or 6 months. Some are knocked down, say, hey, it's part of life, let me get back up, I'm back on my way. So your response to adversity is power. And then the CQ, the cultural quotient. We're in a big environment of DEI-B, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. That's the 4th element. So those are all important cues and quotients to be aware of. But when I started talking about higher ed getting a bad rap, the element of creativity is really a success skill that is coming along and growing exponentially in terms of the need. And a lot of people say, I don't need college. Well, the average student changes their major 3 times. That means some will change 5 or 6, some will change 1. But the key is they explored in college what they liked and didn't like. I actually like when a student gets an internship and says, I hate this thing. Why did I do this? Because then they realize I'm not going to either major in it or keep going with it. I'm a CPA, right? Don't ask me a tax question, I'll call my accountant because I don't like taxes. But the point is, I actually managed an H&R Block office undergrad when I was in Boston. And I said, taxes, that's more like law. If I wanted to go into taxes to be a lawyer, I go to law school. I don't like this. That saved me from graduating. I went into the Big 8 at the time, now called the Big 4, as an auditor, not as a tax guy. And I didn't work for a CPA firm in taxes because taxes weren't my thing. But I could have graduated and tried to work with taxes, audit, consulting, coaching, whatever it might be. And 2-3 years later saying, this is lousy. And there's no time ever wasted, but I would have basically lost track on that track. So being able to say, I don't like this and I do like this is powerful. But the creativity you get, the exposure you get, even when you change majors. I saw a ridiculous poll on LinkedIn. Some are more than others. This said, if you dropped out of college, you didn't complete, would you have started in a different major? Well, the obvious answer is, yeah, A, you dropped out, but B, so do most students who stay in college. They change their major, they evolve, they try different things, they explore. So if you can do that, I'm a fan of taking a year and traveling. I was in the Navy, join the military, or join Vista, or join an opportunity to grow and mature. As you grow, you're able to say, oh, I've got a different perspective on things. Some of my most successful students are returning students. They're coming back now that even with family and other pressures, they're coming back saying, I know I have a better idea of what I want to do. I'm more focused, I'm more committed, I'm able to go on track.
I love that. So
it's lifelong learning. That's the whole point.
Yes, and I love the 4 Qs. Can you re-summarize those for us again real quick?
Sure. IQ, intelligent quotient. EQ, emotional intelligence, AQ, adversity quotient, and CQ, cultural quotient.
And it's
There are
like,
actually tests we have that you can take for all of those.
oh, cool. Okay. And is that, and where would people find those?
They can talk to me for 15 minutes,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
go ahead and do the research on all 4 of those.
Okay.
Google searches will carry you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like then what ties them all together and what levels you up in all 4 areas is what you were talking about, that creativity and that exploration and being a lifelong learner.
It's attitude. You know, attitude determines your altitude. That's one of those other taglines.
Yes,
It really does.
but it's true.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you're fat and happy doing what you do what you do. That's great. If you want to level up, if you want to grow, I mean, I'm in the social media space, you know, the know, like, and trust factor. That's good, but I'm in the learn, share, and grow factor. Learn, share with others, and grow. You grow by helping others, and others help you.
That's powerful.
Every time.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. This has been fantastic. Thank you again for taking your time and sharing with us, and for all of you. Just so you know, the LinkedIn, or excuse me, the Calendly link to Dr. Scott is provided at the same place where you click to watch this interview. So
if you're curious about my book, it's on Amazon. Feel free to explore.
Perfect. And we can include that link here too as well, so that they can access it really easily. So
perfect. Thanks.
Thank you again, everyone, and we will see you on the other side.